Hi, welcome to English Knitting Lab and this series on how to make the tree trunk sweater of the European shoulder design. In this episode I will show you how to pick up stitches here at the sleeve, do the 3 setup rounds to avoid holes here in the sides, and I will also show you the principle of the decreases along the sleeve. This episode applies to the female edition of the sweater. The male and the children's edition use a bit of a different pick-up technique here, however with the same kind of decreases. Let's get the overview and look at a finalized sleeve. Here it is, and it looks like this. So we make decreases around the center stitch marker at the underarm, and the decreases will lean towards this center stitch. And as you see here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 decrease rounds, and then we start over doing the same thing again, and we keep repeating these 4 rounds. This is what I'm written here. And there is a small difference in the sizes, because some sizes have an uneven number of stripes at the underarm and some have an even number. And the only difference here is on which round you start the decreases. So if you start with a knit stitch here at the center, you will start at decrease round 1. However, when the center stitch is a purl stitch, you will start at round 3, being the first round here. So I hope this will all make sense when we get to it. So I will also in this episode talk a bit about the desired length and how to make sure you get the length you want with this type of yarn. Let's move on to the knitting. I continue using my 4.5mm needles, US 7, and I use circular needles because I like the magic loop technique when doing sleeves. Of course, you can do other techniques, use other kinds of needle, double pointed needles, or even make 2 sleeves at a time with a double sleeve technique. But here I will stick to 1 sleeve only. And the first thing to do is to put these stitches on the needles. Now these has been on rest. So I will do this, and let's meet up when these stitches are on the needles. The stitches are transferred to the needles, and I will continue picking up stitches here at the cast on edge. I place my project right side facing up like this, so in the opposite direction of the previous knitting direction. For my size, I have 3 stripes here, giving me 13 stitches to pick up, because I pick up all stitches here at the cast on edge. So now that I will knit in the opposite direction of the previous knitting direction, I have to mirror the stitch when picking up the stitch. So when knitting, stitches look like V's, and when I pick them up now, they have to look like A's, like this, like this. And I start picking up stitches here in the right hand side of the project and not in the center, as you are probably used to doing, but I will explain you later why I want the end of round to be over here. Let me start here with a purl, so I pick in the center of the loop here and make sure to have a small tail here, and the A, 2, 3, now it's 4 stitches, 5, 6, 7, 8. All stitches have been picked up, and now it's time to close the gap between the picked up stitches and the stitches that have been on hold over here. And the way we do it is what I call the suspender method. It's not at all my method. It's a common, well-known method. I just give it a name because I need pictures in my head or rhymes to remember how to do it, not to look at videos each time I have to do it. And when we do the suspender method, we look at this bar running through this stitch here from the back piece. And we pick them up. However, these will not become new stitches. They will be knitted together with these corner purl stitches. So let's do a pair of suspenders. I pick up the first running strand here from behind and the other one from the front. And now in my head, the needle is a pair of shoulders, and on the back here you see the crossing of the suspenders, and the suspenders go down to the pants here. Yeah, well, but it works for me. I hope it works for you. You will never forget how to pick up these strands here in the corner. So the next trick now is when I work the first stitch on the other needle, the stitches on hold, I have to do it very tight. Let's have a look here on the wrong side, because the strand connecting the stitches here behind the two bars will become loose if you don't make sure to tighten it very much. And even though I tighten as hard as I can without breaking the yarn, it will still look loose later. I will show you a bit loose, but very, very tight. And then I can continue working my way to the other side, and we will make a pair of suspenders over here as well. So let's meet over here. I'm here at the other side, and I will just repeat and make yet another pair of suspenders. I just have to identify the strands first. So I look at this stitch here from the back, no, this is the front side, sorry, and the strands running inside this stitch. Here it is. So now I will do the suspenders. I go in from behind and from the front so that these bars will lean in the right way towards each other when we knit them together with the corner purl stitches here. And again, I will try to work the first purl stitch very, very tight, and I will wait until after the setup rounds to place my end of round marker, because it is easier than I have to fiddle with it over here while doing the setup rounds. So let me work these stitches and we will meet over here to see what to do with the suspenders. Being here at the first corner of setup round 2, I will work the first corner purl stitch together with the first bar suspender bar here, like this. Yeah, sometimes I have to look at it closely because they lean against each other, and hard to tell sometimes which is what. But here it is, and the purl stitch. So I work yet another purl stitch. So now we have closed the gap. However, we have 2 adjacent purl stitches, but in setup round 3 we will purl these stitches together so we are in line with the pattern. Let me just work to the other side here and do the same thing. I'm at the end of setup round 3 now with these adjacent purl stitches, which I need to purl together. But before I do so, I will just place the end of round marker here and purl them together. And now the pattern tells me to identify the center stitch here at the underarm to help me guide the sleeve decreases. So here I have 3, an uneven number of stripes at the underarm, So the center stitch will be in the center stripe. It is this one. So I place a marker. Let's play that you have an even number of stripes at the underarm. For example, these 4 stripes here, then the center stitch will be a purl stitch, and you place the marker before the purl stitch. You may wonder why I do the end around here and not just at the center of the underarm, as many other patterns. Yeah, well, it's due to the finishing detail, because when you do the decrease at start of round and end of round, the decrease will look slightly skewed. When you do the decreases on both sides of the center stitch at the same round, it will be fully aligned. This is the reason why I do it. Let me just work the number of rounds before the first decrease, and we will have a look at the principle of the decreases for both even and uneven number of stripes. I'm now ready to do the first decrease round, and my size is the one born with a knit stitch as a center stitch, so I'm over here. So I start with decrease round 1, and as I have a knit stitch and a purl stitch here beside each other, I will start with the knit 2 together, and in this way I will hide the purl stitch here under the knit stitch. I slip the marker, knit 1, and do an SSK. So again I hide the purl stitch over here, and now I have 9 adjacent knit stitches. So in the upcoming rounds we will reduce this number until we have 1 center tree trunk stripe, and then we start over again after the 4 repeats. So this is how this round goes for my size. Let's play that I'm working on a size with an even number of stripes at the underarm, and hence born with a purl center stitch. Yeah, well, it may be a bit confusing because, as you see, it is not a purl stitch. It's because when you start up here at the cast on edge, the pattern tells you to change this purl stitch into a knit stitch, so that you actually have 7 adjacent knit stitches here. So in this case, the purl center stitch as it was born, however, changed to a knit stitch. Then we know we started decrease round 3. So we work just as we would on a simple stockinette stitch a sleeve. We do an SSK before the marker, slip the marker, knit 1 and knit 2 together. And in the next round we have 2 adjacent knit stitches again, so we will again do an SSK here. However, the next time we will meet a purl stitch and a knit stitch as we did in the first round for my size, and then we will change to the opposite here. So this is actually all there is to it, and then we will get this pattern of the sleeve. I have now made the decreases to reach the target number of stitches before the cuff, but I'm not at my desired length yet, and this is on purpose built into the design that you can tailor it to your desired arm length in this piece, where you just knit more or less rounds here before starting the cuff. So how will I know when to start the cuff? Because as we know so well now that it widens and shortens during blocking and wear. Yeah, well, in my experience, I will start working the cuff when this sleeve actually have my desired length. So it is here, then I add the cuff, and the length of the cuff here will account for the shrinking and shortening during blocking and wear. If it is a bit too long at start, I will just roll up the cuff, because in experience again, I know that once I start wearing this, it will shorten a bit more. again, if you've seen some of my other episodes in the start of this series, we know that the undyed ones shorten a bit more than the dyed ones. So again, consult your swatch to see if you will have more or less rounds here before adding the cuff. Yes, I think that was all for now. So I am just moving on to doing the one by one cuff here. So I just make sure that I have a line so that this will be a purl and knit a purl when I do the one by one rib. So Roger and over from Inge's Knitting Lab. Happy knitting with your sleeves, and see you in another episode. Bye bye.